Hello, welcome back to the Evergreen RX. I'm your host, Hayden, licensed mental health therapist, Cancer Moon, and the first to get deep at any party. And today I'm going to be answering the question on how do I find joy during hard times. So I thought this would be a good time for this question because, it's the holiday season. I believe when this is coming out, tomorrow is Thanksgiving. And it can be a really hard time for a lot of us. We're told to be grateful, we're told to be around family, and sometimes that can really bring up feelings of grief, challenge, of drama, some toxicity maybe in relationships, loneliness, comparison. It can bring up a lot, and it's hard when the kind of social message and the general vibe that we're surrounded by is joy and gratitude and oh my god, it's amazing, and oh, this is so fun, why are you not happy? And so finding joy during those times can be even more challenging than it can be at other times of the year when you maybe are moving through your own grief or difficult feelings. And so I thought, toss a little mini dose out on this, and maybe we can figure some things out together, because this is also something, I struggle with myself. I sometimes get into this all or nothing thinking, and I really want things to just be good all the time, and if they're going good, I have to keep them on the same path. And I'm even like clenching my fist right now. It's almost this like sense of just trying to control things that I don't have complete control over. And then when I'm in a harder time, depending on whether it's just something external going on or just something internally inside of me, I can struggle with kind of looking at the bigger picture or finding those moments of joy and kind of letting them count, in a sense, letting them be enough. It might not be perfect, but if it can feel like at least it is helpful to have some moments of joy throughout the hard times. So, yeah, like I just said, I think that the first thing is recognizing it doesn't have to be black and white. What a good lesson the movie Inside Out taught us. I bring up Inside Out so much on this podcast. I'm like, damn, do I? I guess it's the only real, like, movie, at least in my knowledge, that deals with emotions in a, realistic and pretty informative, easy to digest way. So I'm just a big fan of that. But one of the best lessons, the great tale of Inside Out 1, is the idea that things can be a mixed bag, that emotions and memories are not all one thing. Sometimes we really get caught up on wanting a moment to just be happy. And obviously, that is amazing and would feel fantastic, but a lot of times that's not what's happening, especially in moments like the holidays where some things might be happy or might be enjoyable and other things are really hard or sad or bittersweet, or can make us angry or feel like they're unfair. So really bringing in some of that acceptance that it's not black and white, and we can have real moments of joy and laughter or exuberance or levity during something really hard and really sad. And the opposite can also be true. We can have sad moments during moments that are, on the whole, joyous and bright and happy. And when we're able to kind of more readily accept that that is true, we can take these moments with a little bit more mindfulness or just presence and not be swept away by them, because it can be destabilizing either way. If you're having a great moment, then all of a sudden, oh my gosh, you remember some really bittersweet kind of grief. You have this grief that comes up, remembering your grandmother and how you used to do some tradition with her every holiday, and you miss her, and it can be very destabilizing in that moment to be like, I was just having so much fun and now I feel this grief and like this is so awful. But if we can really just step back and like see it as that orb in Inside Out, that multicolored ball of feelings, and just kind of let them all be swimming around together, it can help not make the moment more overwhelming or destabilizing than it needs to be. And the same goes with when we're going through a period of grief or a hard time. What I'm really focusing on here is those moments of difficulty where sometimes it can be just as destabilizing to have a really pleasant moment. I know especially in grief and loss, it can feel almost like a betrayal to the other person, or a betrayal to ourselves almost, when we catch ourselves in a moment of laughter, being like, how am I laughing right now? What? I'm feeling the worst I've ever felt, and now I'm having a moment of laughter, and for a second I forgot. That can feel very challenging and can almost rob us of those pleasant moments or those positive, fleeting seconds, because then we feel so much guilt around it, or we feel so confused at how our emotional state can change so drastically in just a second. But that is normal, and it's going to happen. And I think that's part of the first kind of step with this, is just seeing if we can accept those moments more as just, whatever's going to come is going to come, and we don't really get to control our emotions and how they arise. So just being present with it and letting those little orbs be mixed up full of a bunch of different colors. And I also want to give a moment here to give permission that you don't have to match everyone else's energy. I absolve you now. This is your absolution from the pressure to match everyone else's energy. Maybe you have people directly or indirectly telling you that you should. You don't want to be the downer. You don't want to be the party pooper. La 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 la. Whatever. Those other people can suck it, because we live in such an emotion phobic society, and people can be remarkably bad about knowing how to handle hardship, knowing how to support someone through hardship. Even though all of us have moments like that, I think it can bring up a lot for people of their own hardship or their own fear over, whatever it is we may be going through. And so they just don't want to deal with it, and they want to avoid it, or they want to say things like, well, look on the bright side, or it'll be better one day, or, be grateful for what you have. And a lot of times it's well-intentioned, but sometimes these platitudes can just really go to feel undermining to what we're going through, and can send the message like, come on, put on a smile and enjoy like the rest of us. And if that's not what you're feeling, it's not what you're feeling. And there's nothing wrong with that. So there's my permission to you. If you need it, take it with you. You can tell them Hayden gave you permission, and they'll be like, who the hell is Hayden? And then you can send to my podcast. I'm just kidding. But, people really can be challenged with someone who is suffering or going through something hard. And so if there are some people in your life that are better, surround yourself with those people. Surround yourself with the people that at least are somewhat better at handling being with you or beside you in whatever you're struggling with. Because we're all going to have those moments. And there's nothing wrong with struggling and needing time and needing space and needing to be with yourself in a different way than you maybe normally are. And you want to be around those people that really understand that and can empathize, that we all have been there, and they will be there too. So also some things that are helpful for finding joy is starting really small. Back earlier in the summer during Brat Summer, I was not having much of a brat summer myself. I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and one of the things that it was my lifeline was reading. And at the time I was listening to an audiobook for my book club, and I was also reading the last Court of Thorns and Roses book, the what is it? The Court of Silver Flames. And oh my god, both of these things, the audiobook I was listening to, which was about the Vietnam War, and then the fantasy romance, just kind of whatever fun book, both serve such different but vitally important places in my life. One, the Vietnam book, it was called The Women, by Kristen Hanna. It was really helping with the common humanity thing. And if you guys have listened to my podcast, you've heard me talk about self-compassion. And one of the core tenets of self-compassion is common humanity. Knowing that we're not alone in our suffering, that other people are going through things that are difficult too. And it really helped me in some ways by hearing about what these women and people in general had suffered through the Vietnam War, and giving me like perspective on suffering and what people have survived. And I almost had this awe of how much people can survive and get through in their life, and it really was inspiring to me. And then on the flip side, Court of Thorn and Roses, man, that was just escapism in the purest sense. And there were just moments where I was like laying in bed at night reading that book, and the silly little, like, you know, just getting whisked away into this little world was exactly what I needed. I felt less alone, because if any of you guys know, Silver Flames is about, it's from like Nesta's perspective, the other sister. And man, she just goes through this radical transformation in that book. And I felt so much less alone. I felt like she was like going with me through my own transformation and my own challenges. And so that's just my example of something that brings me joy. But whatever it is for you, getting out in nature, listening to music, watching a good movie, hanging out with loved ones, journaling, just small moments, even smaller than that, having your cup of coffee in the morning, looking at the trees outside of your window. I have a sun catcher in this room right now, and it refracts little like rainbows on the floor, and it makes me so happy. And that is a little moment of joy. Right now, I'm not going through a super hard challenge, so I'm able to look at those rainbows from the sun catcher and be like, oh my god, the rainbows. And I'm really able to access how much they make me happy. But in moments of challenge, maybe it's not as dramatic, but there might just be a moment of that rainbow catching my eye and being like, oh, that's really nice. And maybe for a moment, it lightens my heart a little bit. And that is so, oh my God. And that is so valuable. So really what I'm talking about there is the idea of glimmers, which most of you guys have probably heard about triggers, but glimmers is kind of the idea of the opposite. With triggers, we know the negative things that activate us and make us, our nervous system turn on and feel really fight or flight and scared. But glimmers are the things that we can learn and know about ourselves that make us feel these moments of joy and lightness. And, maybe it's seeing some stranger's dog outside, or getting a new plant, or feeling a comfy blanket when you're cuddled up on the couch. Starting to kind of notice those glimmers and see if you can really look for them. There's this idea of, it's called the broaden and build theory. It's a positive psychology theory. And basically what it is positive emotions, a moment of positive emotions lead to a widening of our perspective. So we're able to get more perspective on things. Our mindset kind of opens up, because when we're feeling really negative, our mindset narrows. But in these positive spaces, our mindset opens up. We are open to more novel experiences and activities and feelings, which leads to more resiliency, more kind of healthy functioning, and thus more positive emotions. And it just builds on itself. And so that's kind of why people tout like gratitude, daily gratitude practice, and things like that, is there really is some science to back up. The more we look for positive things, the more we will find them. They surround us, and you will be able to grow in your capacity to see them and savor them more and more, which can be a serious lifeline in times of profound struggle or emotional pain or suffering. And lastly, I'll just leave you with something that meant so much to me when I was younger and struggling. Let's just say high school was not my peak mental health time. And I had a desktop screensaver that I had on for like years, and it just said, "Today I choose joy." And sometimes it really does get down to that conscious choice. And this is the resiliency and the strength that you have inside of you and that humans have. And if we look for it, we will find it, that there is an ability, this wellspring, this deep place inside of us, if we can tap into and make that conscious choice to find the pockets of joy, we can. And the things that we can withstand and we can survive is nothing short of miraculous. And so I hope that this helps you guys. Any of you that are out there suffering or just having a challenge during the holidays, if this is always kind of a time that's more difficult, or just even seasonal affective disorder with the cold, I'm thinking about you and I'm sending you my love genuinely. And if you want more support, reach out to me. TikTok, Instagram, wherever. Send me an email. I'm here, and I'm really thinking of you. And I hope that some of this is something you can kind of stick in your pocket and take with you. And if it helps you, that is amazing. And I feel really grateful to get to be here with all of you listening and provide support in any way possible, because you're not alone in this. We're here. I got your back. And until I talk to you next, I'm wishing you all of the best, and I'll see you then. Bye.